Hi, my name is Stephen Martile at freedomeducation.ca. Here are 7 signs you have low self-esteem. And I really want to be honest with people is that if you don't think you have low self-esteem, listen to the video anyways because you'll gather some new insights about areas where you may be getting stuck because of low self-esteem and you might not even know you're aware of it or not even clear that it's there, okay? And way I've broken up these 7 signs of low self-esteem is that the first 3 are internal. It's like dialogue inside. It's like things that are going inside you. And the last 4 are things that are going outside of you. And both of them are signs that you have low self-esteem. So number 1 is indecisiveness, okay? So it's when it comes to a point where you've got to make a choice. You got to make a choice to, do something in your job, maybe like let someone know that they're not going to be doing work with them and it's conflicting to you, or make a choice to go and ask for a raise, or make a choice to go confront someone at your work and just lay the ground and say, hey, this isn't working for me. When you get indecisive, or otherwise you're sitting on the fence, and I'll be honest with you, if you're sitting on the fence, it probably hurts. And you struggle more when you're on the fence as opposed to when you're off the fence. But most people don't see it that way. But when you're indecisive, sometimes a pattern that develops is you get into this what ifs. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And what if? That's a terrible question to ask yourself. Stop asking yourself that question because it's just a never-ending loop. It just gets you putting your attention on negative aspects of your situation. And the more you focus on the negative aspects, the more you start to feel negative. You start to feel stressed, or you start to feel anxiety. And then you start to bring in more experiences that give you that feeling, and then you start to say more what ifs, and then it's a never-ending cycle, okay? So that's a really key sign of low self-esteem. Number 2, negative self-talk. So you talk yourself out of your goals. You're like, aha, I got this amazing project. I'm going to go start a blog, and I'm going to build my coaching business. And a month goes by, and you haven't done anything with it. You might have wrote a blog post, and then you just, forget about it. You talk yourself out of it. And you give reasons, really good reasons why you shouldn't be doing it. I love those. Total sabotage driven from low self-esteem. Number 3, a fear of rejection. And what's interesting is that some people will say, well, I just don't have, I would like to have the courage to go ahead and quit my job and start a business, or I'd like to have the courage to go out and ask someone out on a date, or whatever it is. I want to have the courage to go out and make those sales calls, those cold calls. Courage is driven from your self-image. Your self-image is what drops into your self-esteem. So a fear of rejection is just you're making these nasty pictures which aren't even true, because most of the time fear is something that's made up. It's not even true. You're making it up, and you make it up all the time, and every time you get to that point in your life where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to speak in front of 100 people, or I'm going to launch my first blog, or I'm going to write an article and share it with the world. And you get to that point and it's like, well, what if I get criticism? Or what if people come back and they don't like me? Or what if I'm not accepted? It's all driven from having a low self-esteem. So fear of rejection is another one. Now here are 4 more signs of low self-esteem, but these are more like outside driven, okay? Let me explain. Being materialistic, okay? So I bought a Nissan 350Z sports car about 5-6 years ago. And I bought the car because I thought it was going to make me happy. And it just ended up making me miserable. I was having $800 payments coming out every month, and the car had constant problems. I had to keep bringing it to the shop. And, it was something that, you're driving stick, and if you're in the city, it's a bit of a pain. So it ended up causing more stress, more frustration, more anxiety in my life, instead of bringing me the happiness I wanted. So people who are materialistic, they want more money, they want that bigger house, they want those nice clothes, they want that MacBook, or whatever it is. Here's something to recognize. If you feel that you're always constantly looking for outside things external to you to make you feel good, and otherwise you're very materialistic, it's a sign of low self-esteem. People who are very wealthy and abundant, and when I say wealthy and abundant, naturally, holistically, with their environment, do not need those things. They're not needy. You want to actually be less needy. The less needy you are, the more abundant you'll feel. The more abundant you feel, the better you'll feel. So if you're looking outside for happiness, you're looking for things that materialistic that will make you happy, it's a sign of low self-esteem. Another one is a need to express your accomplishments. So you want to think of this as like a bravado, like, oh, went out and I made like $1 million and you're telling like half the city because you just want everyone to know, but you're doing it because you want them. It's like by you saying it, it's validating your existence. You don't have to go and express your accomplishments to validate your existence. You can share your accomplishments if you want, but it shouldn't be with an intention to make you feel better about who you are. You should feel better who you are because of who you are. You're special, you're unique. You shouldn't have to go out and seek approval from others by sharing your accomplishments. So that's another sign of low self-esteem. Number 6, you value others' opinions more than your own. Okay, there was a quote that I found somewhere, and I can't remember where I found it, but it said something like, "You've mastered your life when your inner voice and your inner vision is bigger and louder than the outside pictures and outside voices." And that is absolutely true. People who have not mastered their life listen to the voices, their parents, their siblings, their friends, and make their decisions and do the things that they want to do in their life based on what they're saying to them. And otherwise, the external world is having a bigger influence on you as opposed to you having a bigger influence on the external world. Okay? You get the difference? So low self-esteem is driven externally. High self-esteem, people who are very confident, is driven internally. And that's my basic message. That's the 7th sign that you've got low self-esteem, is that you link your self-esteem to external conditions. That's what the last 4 were about. It's just this whole entire idea that, you know what? I've got to go out and get approval in order so I can feel better about myself. And here's a great example. I was speaking to someone who had been dating this beautiful woman. And when she was younger, she used to get all the attention from the guy. She used to get a lot of compliments about her beauty. And that gave her a high self-esteem. Then when she got older, she stopped getting those comments and she had a low self-esteem. So, I was talking to someone and I said, well, why is that? I said, it's because they're linking their external conditions to their self-esteem. And that's like a deadly strategy. That's a strategy for disaster because you're always relying on the external conditions to validate who you are. Well, what happens when the external conditions go away? Who's going to validate your existence? Who's going to, pump you up? Who's going to validate your presence? No one. You do. So you got to realize that, and here's the key to a high self-esteem. You got to create a self-image that is you, something that feels good about your self-image. And when you draw from a self-image, which is just your mind's eye, your vision of your life, in your terms, then you no longer have to go outside for approval. I hope you liked this video. My name is Steve Martile at freedomeducation.ca. Thanks for listening and watching. If you want to hear and watch more cool videos like this, sign up to my newsletter. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.